Greetings, good people. Welcome back to another edition of Leaders and Learners, South Bay edition. So happy to be here with you guys. What's going on, Paul?
I'm having a good day. How are you?
I am having an even better day. Always happy to be back with you. We're missing Miriam today, but we have a pretty cool guest. Why don't you introduce her?
Yes, our guest is almost everybody in Redondo Beach knows of her. She is our councilwoman for District 3. She's been very successful at being a councilwoman, and she enjoys a lot of support from her district and throughout the city. Let's welcome Councilwoman Paige Kaluderovic.
Hey, Paige.
Hello.
How you doing today?
I'm good. You know, summer is an interesting time for parents. It's just like a flip-flop of schedules, and I spend 3 times more on gas in the summer than I do any other time of the year. So I'm good.
It's funny. Good. It's funny because they always think, oh, it's summer, like parents should be so excited. They get time off. And I'd be like, you don't have kids, do you?
Yeah. It's different. It's different. It's great, but it is, I look forward to the school start.
It's a different kind of busy, but yes, people, we are still busy. Mm-hmm. Very much so. Mm-hmm. Well, thanks for being here with us today. Haven't touched base with you since State of the City, and let's just start off with, what were your thoughts on this year's State of the City for Redondo Beach?
You know, there's a lot going on in Redondo. I don't think anyone would question that we have a very active mayor. He is retired, and he spends a lot of time at City Hall, usually there every day that it's open. And so there's a lot getting done. And he was very articulate about kind of the points, the high points of what we're working on, and a central focus, him being focused, coming from the harbor. He had a lot to say about the harbor, but there's a lot more going on in the city. So, I'm excited. I think this is a time when Redondo is moving forward in a thoughtful way.
Absolutely.
I gotta say, it is a very refreshing change that it seems that the constituency throughout the whole city doesn't need to be down at every single council meeting to badger them or tell them they're doing something that the community doesn't want. It seems like there's a lot more cooperation, and the new council people are doing their job much better. And there seems to be a lot more cooperation on the council itself.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that way. Now having been there over 2 years, I feel like government is working well when it's boring.
That's right.
And I think we're making government boring, and that's good.
Can we make America boring again?
We're all working on that. And this program maybe is working on that. So let's get to the boring topics of the state and the county and our beautiful little Dominguez Park playground. Yeah. For the people out there that don't know, the city built a new playground set on basically replacing the old one in Dominguez Park. It's lovely. I walked there yesterday, but the playground is closed because there's been some misunderstanding between the city and the county and the people that regulate former landfills. The playground was built on top of a former landfill that existed from 1950 to 1988. And they want us to do a little bit more monitoring before it's all officially open. So maybe you can tell us a bit more in detail what's going on there.
No, I think you said it well. We remodeled a playground that was existing there. This governing body was not in existence when the playground, when the park closed, or when the landfill closed. So this has come into play within that 60 years since the landfill closed. This has always been a park since that time. We have baseball fields there. We have a dog park there. And that corner, that southwest corner, has been a playground. And there was considerable work done on the design of redoing that playground. And as we went through the construction, we were informed that this government agency, this county health entity, had kind of authority over that, and they raised some concerns and required more from us. And we are, we're working to comply with that, but working with the county and the state can take a long time. We were in the middle of that, and we wanted to open the park, but we just need to make sure that they've checked their boxes and that we've complied, and then we'll get the park open.
So what this all seems to be about is methane gas that might be underneath the entire landfill. And that was what seems to be a real disconnect, is that the playground is existing and it's in a small portion of the entire park. Yeah. But it's being held hostage by the entire park and the possible of methane gas buildup anywhere in the park. So I guess we need to poke a few more wells down in there and just see how much methane is actually coming out. Let people know that the park or the new playground was just brought into ADA compliance. All the swing sets, everything used to be in sandboxes, and so those needed to be, to comply with with ADA standards. We need to get rid of those. And in doing so, it triggered these other things that have happened. I attended the meeting, and Paige was there. She spoke on behalf of Redondo Beach and being a mother and needing playgrounds for children during the summer. It just seemed like there was just everything was askew. It just people were talking past each other and not really looking at the big picture. One bright note was a member of the board or the commission that regulates us, the LEA, said, I just think two people need to sit down and work this out. We don't have to tear out the playground or do anything. We probably just need to do a couple more monitoring stations or something like that. I don't know. And do you know anything about the steps forward where we're going to get to, or maybe just a rough time frame?
And before you answer that, also, are they still playing baseball there? Because that methane gas situation wouldn't be new. And right. I know my kids have played baseball there. Our little league plays there. So what's going on with that right now?
Yeah. So essentially this hearing, we were appealing to basically allow us to use the playground while we comply with all of the requests. And to be honest, the requests from the county have not been laid out very clearly. So we still, to answer your question, Paul, I think now we're at the point where we're asking for that very clearly. Like, what is it that we need? What do you need from us in order to open this playground? But essentially what happened is, because we touched anything on the property, it has been, and they were fine with it as used before. They're just saying that now we need to prove all of these things. And that's just the documentation that they're asking for, but we need to be more specific about what that means. And then, any improvement or monitoring that is required, because we've touched that space, we need that information. And I think now we've gone through the appeal process. That's been resolved, meaning that they've made their decision that they're going to keep the playground closed. But we need to know what it is we need to do to comply at that point. And I know our staff is working on it. They've been in contact with the county, but it kind of came to a head as you described. It was like these two entities need to get in a room and just talk this out. We all have the same goal of keeping everyone safe and having open space available for the community. We need to be more proactive in getting there.
And those of the public know, there is no methane gas. Our fire department has tested and retested the site. There is not methane gas leaks anywhere. They're concerned with what's going on deep underground. On the surface, it's not an issue. The playground is always going to be safe. It always has been safe.
Yes. Well, and they've said, with these landfills, most of the methane that occurs even under the surface is soon after it's closed. I mean, this landfill has been closed for over 60 years, but the county is saying, prove it. And so we need to know at what level of proof are you requiring? And that's where we're at.
And also one last thing is that the landfill that was there never accepted any kind of hazardous waste. It was always just household yard waste and things like that. Moving on, But not far from that park, we have the possibility of improving and enclosing our firing range that we have for our police department here in Redondo. It's right on the other side of Dominguez Park. It's been problematic, to say the least. It's literally open air, and it's next to a school, so it can be, gunshots being heard by children at schools is challenging, but also just it's time to bring this facility up to date. And the councilwoman's been working on getting federal funding to improve this site and completely change it into an enclosed facility. So why don't you tell us about that and where we're at on it?
This has been a big focus of the spring for me. We worked really hard to get Measure FP passed last year, which improves, rebuilds our 2 fire station, our police headquarters, and remodeling our police annex. But not included in that was another facility, our shooting range, which is used by our police department. And it's not used often because, as you said, it's an outdoor shooting range. It was built in 1947, much before all of the development and the school across the street was even there. So it preempted all of that. But it's wild. We have an outdoor shooting range in the middle of the second most dense city on the coast. It came to my attention on high alert when I had a resident in my neighborhood who emailed me, and she was traumatized. She was at Towers Elementary, which is the elementary school in Torrance, but it's across the street, directly across the street. She was there with her child for some event on the campus, and she heard gunshots. And it turns out, she was a student at Columbine High School in 1999. I grew up not far from there. I remember that vividly. She was just shocked, like, what is happening in our community? And I think she's right. We talk about quality of life all the time. There's been a huge discussion about the noise that pickleball makes. We have an outdoor shooting range in our city with firing. I mean, I live on the other side of Inglewood Avenue, and if the wind's blowing, I can hear it.
Yeah.
It's just wild. So, we have an opportunity as a partner with LA Air Force Base and Space Force to do a combined partnership to enclose the shooting range. It would rebuild it entirely to DoD standards. We would be able to, have our police department, who also has to travel outside the city sometimes because they can only use it 5 days a week, because we have to limit the times that they can use it. Obviously it can't be used during school hours. So it shrinks the available time for them to use it, which means our officers have to be compliant and up to speed with their training. And we want them to be, but they're traveling and we're paying overtime for them to make sure that they're compliant. So this, is a huge benefit to us. And also Air Force Base. They are traveling to March Air Force Base to do their training 80 miles away. So this is what we've learned through this, is that there is a massive shortage of facilities for all kinds of agencies to train. And, I've had constituents come up to me. One, I think people are surprised that we even have a shooting range. I think a lot of people don't know we do. But also that, they were saying, well, why don't we just, partner with Torrance or Manhattan Beach or El Segundo? And while some of these departments do have their own shooting range, many of them exist underneath their department. They don't have the capacity to accommodate. We have almost 100 sworn officers. They can't accommodate us. They could probably, they've said they could help us out in the interim if we lost our space, but not long-term. So we really do need to find a solution that works for our city. And this is the best opportunity. I mean, right now, we are asking for the federal government to cover 100% of the capital investment to build the shooting range. We turned in our application earlier this month, and hopefully we'll know mid to late August if we get it.
Can you tell us some of the numbers on this? Just the amount that it's going to cost? The city can't afford anything right now. But there are priorities, and this seems to be like the amount of money that the city would have to put forward pay off. It'd just be a big win for the city, because capturing this money from the federal level, it's a big chunk of that money, which is surprising to me, and also what it's going to cost.
Yeah. So we have allocated about $1.3 million to this project. And that's to cover the design, environmental, engineering, all these soft costs that are not covered by the grant. And they won't be, regardless. That is on us. And we've already set that money aside. It's in the budget. We don't need more money. And we've asked the federal government just over $19 million for the remainder of it. Now, the other part of this, that space that you talk about where the shooting range exists, there's also a public works yard on that space. And with the design of this joint shooting range, it would expand and it would kind of cannibalize part of the public works spaces. So we would have to rebuild them on the same property. There is space for it, but they would have to be relocated. That cost is up to us. But I do feel like it is, we're estimating that might be $3 to $4 million. And I think to get a brand new facility, 2 facilities, because we would have a brand new public works yard, we'd have a joint shooting range, and we would invest $5.5 million to get both. I think that the return on investment in that is amazing. And no one works, well, I don't want to say no one works, but our public works department works so hard. They are exceptional. And I'd love to give them a shout out, because I do want to shout out Shakespeare by the Sea later. That also happened at this Dominguez Park. So it's been a big center.
And I think people should understand, we need public works buildings rebuilt anyway. We're going to probably spend this money there. Everything in Redondo's been deferred maintenance for so long. And we've had dwindling revenues that a lot of things, we need to take advantage of these things. To spend a small amount of money to get a big chunk of money from the federal government would just be a real win for the city. So I'm hopefully everything works out for that, and we end up with a new facility. That would just be fantastic.
It really would. I mean, it would really check off. I mean, between Measure FP and this other federal grant, we would be able to check off, I mean, some of the biggest needs in our community, and then, start really allocating funds to maintenance and repairs for these buildings in the long run. What would be left, I mean, as far as bigger facilities, there is another public works yard in South Redondo. I'm sure you know, off of Catalina. That needs to be redone. But I do think it's reasonable for the residents and taxpayers, including myself, that, City Hall, Mayor and Council need to be allocating funds, that we should be able to cover these investments, right? Like, we have a big chunk of money for FP, and we've asked residents for that, and we need to be bringing in revenue and creating this, you could call it a nest egg, so that we can do these things without going to the voters again.
Definitely can appreciate that. So we got to ask, because we've heard one thing and another about this mall. Are we getting a new mall or not?
Mall.
Is it on sale or not?
It is for sale. It's for sale. We have been notified. Kennedy Wilson, who's the owner of the mall, is marketing it for sale with the entitlements that have been worked on through the city. There's the remodel of the existing mall, some programmed open space. There's entitled 300 units plus another 350 units of residential on that space. It's really a shame that it hasn't happened already. I think there was an opportunity missed before the pandemic, before inflation, before materials rose. But we are where we are, and I think that area it's not only that we financially need it, we need the energy in North Redondo to be revived. So, you know, I am hopeful, and I hope that I hope whoever buys the property has a vision and the energy to get it done.
What do you think is going to happen? Seriously, though, like, come on. At this point, it's bringing the morale. I think it's bringing the morale down in North Redondo.
No, I don't disagree with you at all. I mean, this has been it's 7 years that people have been working on this. You know, it's a tricky property too, because it has legacy tenants, Macy's, Kohl's, even AMC. I love the AMC there, by the way. They have the best chairs.
Most people do.
Yeah. But that they kind of call shots that make it, I could see it being difficult for anyone who's trying to do meaningful change there. So I think they have 30 something years left. And I'm just wondering, does anyone have, I guess, how do they get bought out? And what does that cost? I mean, so I don't know the answer to your question. I wish I did. I want to be hopeful, but I see some big challenges with that property.
Yeah, I would really hope that maybe we could change the land uses there. Sometime in the future, it'll be economically not very advantageous for Macy's or Kohl's to be there. It is just a black hole of
absolutely.
Everything is not working there.
It also creates
and it's pulling
unwanted activity, like crime. You know, if we activate it in a different way, I think that changes that activity too. But
yeah, and I saw a couple of thefts up there during the Christmas season at Macy's. It was really bad. You know, and I don't want it to pull down Sprouts and the other parts of that the development up there. So I don't know. I mean, you think these people that have a lot of money, they think they can pull it off, and then they fail, or they just find so much resistance they give up. God, we could turn it into a medical center or do something to see if Hoag Medical Center wants to build a new hospital there or something. I don't know. There's got to be alternatives to, because somebody comes back to the drawing board. Oh, we're going to make it a lifestyle retail center. That's one thing. That's fine. If you guys want to roll the dice, great. But I just don't know if we're considering enough stuff. I'll tell you one thing, and I've said this all the time. Residential never fails in Redondo Beach. You can build it. It never fails. It always gets inhabited. So that's probably, if the city wants to show, you know, possible developers, you know, put a real carrot in front of them to say, you can build the residential first, and then we'll see what needs to come after. You know, residential is going to keep coming. And I've recently learned about a possible project on PCH that's going to be 30 to 50 units run on PCH in Pearl. So we'll see if that gets past the Planning Commission. But the state is making it easier for people to use large lots of land in high density neighborhoods to build housing, and sidestepping, you know, these city, well, not city councils, we'll put it on you guys yet, but the planning commissions that think they can stop all this stuff just because they don't like it. I think we're headed for another lawsuit with this planning commission. It's a shame that the mayor hasn't taken the opportunity to maybe change some of the people on there and bring in some fresh ideas, because they've caused basically the situation we're in now for the last 10 years. The stagnation we are enduring here in Redondo, it can be put squarely on them. So beyond that, I hope that there's a future there at the site. But in the meantime, I guess we could just tell people to, you know, have faith in it and visit the facilities. I mean, Target's not going anywhere.
No.
Like that.
And what makes this tricky? I mean, again, it is that we don't own that space. Not that, you know, I'm not saying the city would do it better. It's just that we have less control over decisions being made there. You know, we have zoning, we have entitlement, which, I mean, this property is already entitled, and with 650 units. So we'll see. I'm forever optimistic, and when I stop being optimistic, I should probably stop doing this job.
Well, lucky for us, you're pretty tenacious about your optimism. I love that. That's probably why we were able to get our youth commission back up and going. Tell us about that. Where is that at right now? How did that first year go? Hello.
This is, you know, someone asked me, like, what do you like about the job? What's your favorite part of the job? And I think inspiring youth to be involved is absolutely my favorite part of this job. I love meeting with, we've had Girl Scout troops and Boy Scout troops, Cub Scouts come into City Hall and just talk to them about, like, who makes these decisions? I'm like, well, you could make them one day. But when it comes to the Youth Commission, I'm super excited. I'm so impressed with the youth that we have in our community. They're just so impressive. And I'm saying that because I sat in interviews for this next group yesterday, and I have some more interviews this week. And they have so much to offer. And I think that it is our duty to inspire this next generation to take the reins and be proactive in their community and be engaged. And there's so many people that I meet through this experience as being a council person. And of course, we all come to this differently, but those that have made some huge impacts have had an experience at a younger age where they were exposed to government. And that is what is inspiring me to make sure that we're doing that in our community, so that this group of Redondo residents are going to be change makers in the future. So to answer your question, last year was a great kickoff. We had them focus on our teen center. And it's interesting, even in our interviews yesterday, there are teens in our community that don't even realize we have a teen center. I realize it's been closed for a bit, but that is a disservice that we are doing for our teens. So they worked on the teen center last year about what do they want to see, what are they going to use in that space so that they're actually going to be there. Because what we hear from teens when we ask them, what is the biggest issue that's facing Redondo teens? They say mental health. They say we need a third space. And when they say third space, they're talking first space is home, second place is school, and they don't have anything else to go. They don't have another place to go to. So this third space, I hope, can be our teen center, but I also hope that we can do more than that. There's a lot of playgrounds around the community at our open spaces and parks, and they're programmed for smaller kids. But what are we doing for our youth, our teenagers and middle school, preteens? And so that is kind of what we're tasking with the Youth Commission. Tell us how we can better represent you. And I love that we have a Youth Commission because it's an interesting crux as an elected official. You know, you have to campaign and you have to get people to vote for you. But while youth in our community are residents, they're not voters. So are they represented? It's an interesting.
There's an adult, you have an adult on the Youth Commission, right? At least one adult, right?
Yeah. So we, the previous ordinance had 3 adult members. One of them was a school board member, and the other 2 were youth commissioners, adult representatives. We recently introduced a change to the ordinance that kind of removed the adult participants because, I asked them about this, and they were encouraging of the change because we do want this. We want these ideas and what they want to advocate for to come from youth. I don't want it to be spoon-fed or, seeded by adults to bring forward. I want it to come from them. So the change that we've introduced, and it's making its way through an ordinance, is instead of having 12 commissioners that are youth members and then 3 adult members, we've just made it 15 youth commissioners. We have an adult staff liaison, and then we have a school board member that is kind of, it's on call to be an advisory role. So they have access to that, but that it is student-led and, more student-focused.
I love this idea of third space for youth. I see where that's completely lacking. If you're not going to go outdoors and run around, as but that's a different experience than having some place to either be creative or just be with equals and feel like you can talk to whatever. And we had those. I had those here when I was growing up. One of them was a mall. And then we had Parks and Recs centers, which were really beneficial. It seems that maybe there's possibility with the Galleria Mall. There's all that empty space. There could be, some sort of music rehearsal place, some sort of creative space where kids could just do what they want to do, and teens could say, okay, you're here to create something, and to give them that's really all the direction they may need. I don't know. It's I don't have children, so I don't really can't directly relate to this, but I'm glad that we're addressing it. I'm very concerned about the future of Redondo because we are turning into basically a retirement community. So many of the younger people I've known have moved out. They have literally cannot afford it here. They're turned from teens to young adults. Suddenly they want their own lives, and they cannot rent in Redondo Beach at all. And so they're just moving in droves. And I have said this before in this program. Redondo Beach leads the county in the exodus of 25 to 35 years old. And that is not healthy for our city at all. We need that young blood here to just activate things,
we do.
Spend money. They go and, volunteer. Stodgy old people like me, we don't go out.
Well, and I think about as a parent, like, I don't want to just say goodbye to my kids. I'd love the opportunity for them to live nearby if they want to. I was talking with someone, and they mentioned, a lot of people, their inheritance is their parents' house, and so that they can stay in the community. But I looked at them and I was like, but I have 2 kids.
Yeah.
That doesn't solve anything for them. So we need to think bigger. But I will say that, Redondo I think it is an exception. It is in a good way that we've created density the way that cities around us have not. And I do think if the state were to flip what they're doing, instead of just like shoving down, like, you have to create housing, but can you point to an example of what you want these cities to do? And I would argue, like, look at Redondo. We've added 2 in a lots, 3 in a lots, multifamily. We've flip-flopped what our neighbor cities have done. We have like about 35% single family homes compared to, Torrance, 70% single family homes. So I don't want to just, we can talk about Redondo in our isolated little city bubble, but I think if we're talking about residential at the state level, I think they're doing a disservice in actually rewarding those who have done things that have gotten them to, more housing, like Redondo Beach. But, they've all almost like rewarded communities who have like dug their feet in the sand and said, we're not going to do it. And they get less RHNA numbers. It's almost like that's the loop, is like, well, if you just put it off enough, like, you'll get less and less. It's better not to participate.
Yeah. So. And the RHNA numbers are, the way they're allocated, are crazy. And for everybody out there, the RHNA means regional housing needs assessment. It's basically the state telling cities, you can't just stop building housing. You have to build housing. The way it's allocated is crazily unfair. If you take away RENA, though, if you didn't think if there was RENA, we would still have this housing problem. We would still have youth that would need to leave the community because they couldn't afford to live here.
Yes.
And much less, if they inherit, and basically the only way they can get in, and this is true for people of my peer group, the only way you could get in is either you get very lucky or you inherit a house. And now it's completely out of reach for them.
When single family homes,
I hate to be the black cloud on that, but that's just the reality of it. And I'm not saying that everybody does have the right to live here if they want, but it costs a lot of money. And we can we've got these big blank spots in the city at AES and at the Galleria, and we could build different types of housing and apartments. I mean, I don't think there's been an apartment built in Redondo in a long, long time. I mean, they just built one in Torrance after 36 years or something like that. So it just doesn't happen. And they just, the new development in Manhattan Beach is actually an apartment, which is, first time in forever, I think. Who knows? So I'm glad that's being addressed. And I'm glad we have a youth commission that is a priority with the city. Now, let's talk about another commission that's no longer a priority, which was the Public Safety Commission. Not to get too wonky on this, it was explained to us that it was redundant. So can you tell us a bit more?
Yeah, we did consolidate commissions last year as well. There was an evaluation. I mean, we had 17 commissions for our city. We're just under 70,000 people. Manhattan Beach, just to give perspective, has 4 commissions. Wow. So staffing commissions, it's not about the cost necessarily to staff a commission, but I think for me, it's what meaningful work are they doing? And not just like, what are they giving to the city? But people are commissioners because they want to make a difference. And I think, just having commission after commission after commission doesn't add meaningful work, and results for the city, but it also doesn't give people that experience that they're looking for. So one, I would say that, being on a commission is not the only way to participate in your community. There are many ways. And by the way, Coastline Covenant, myself, the mayor, and some other volunteers will be cleaning up 2 yards in Redondo Beach this Saturday. It's all volunteer based. So I'm just putting that out there as an example of things that you can do to help your community. But when it comes to the Public Safety Commission, as I said, we consolidated commissions last year, just trying to make them, again, more efficient, more meaningful. We had commissioners that were resigning because they had lack of meaningful work, but also there was there wasn't great attendance on some of them. So that was a reason for me to make that decision for consolidation last year. And then this year, again, we were evaluating ordinances. We were talking about what actually is in the purview of some of these commissions. And for the Public Safety Commission, many of the things that the ordinance was very vague, and it kind of just left you floating as far as like direction. And many of the things that they were working on fit neatly into other commissions. So it was redundant. And then, as I said, we also made some changes to the Youth Commission to make sure that the work that they're doing, the structure supports the intention that we want for their experience.
So the work that was being done with the Public Safety Commission, is that same work being done now in a different commission, or there's no oversight with public safety? Like, talk to us about that.
Yeah, well, I will say first, it's not an oversight body.
Okay.
They're an advisory body. Many of the commissions are advisory bodies to the council, and then that advice could lead to change from the council position. But so public safety, it was not in their purview to have oversight over public safety. And some of the things that they were talking about, many of it fell into public works. There was a discussion about the truck routes in South Redondo. Again, it's public works. There was some enforcement from the department. and I will say some of the complaints that we've heard is that there's no where are residents going to have their voice heard? Where's the opportunity for residents to complain about things or compliment things? And I think we have a lot of those opportunities. One, we have 5 council people who have district meetings nearly every month. That's 5 opportunities a month. We have council meetings where you can come tell us directly if there's something impacting you that needs to be addressed. We have, we have our police department. They have coffee with a cop. They do all kinds of outreach. And if a resident just emails me, I'm going to email the chief and figure out what's going on. So there's no shortage of ways that the residents of the city can get their questions asked. So I think there weren't many topics that were specifically brought up, but nearly all of them fit into, most of them were in Public Works and Sustainability Commission. So that was kind of where we found the redundancy.
You know, with our community engagement board, it never really was disbanded, and we never met again. Have you guys talked about that at all?
No, we haven't.
Well, so much for that.
I can write it down.
I was going to say that the mayor has the power to. It wasn't the people on the commission, the Public Safety Commission, that were the motivation to make this big change. It was, he had the power to change those people at will. He could have removed anyone anytime. They changed the ordinance. He's able to do that. So it wasn't the people. It was just that it just really didn't serve a good purpose. And yes, and it does cost taxpayers money to run commissions. In all honesty, if I had a concern about our fire department, our police department, or any public safety thing, I would never think of going in front of the public. They're another filter and a layer of bureaucracy that I just wouldn't want to deal with. And considering that those people brought a lot of bias themselves to that commission, and I wouldn't, as a resident, want to face that. I'd rather just go right to the source. And I feel like, our police chief, they've been very open about that. I feel like I could go and get in touch with one of those guys anytime I wanted to, or talk to the mayor or my council person. They've laid out a really good case that it just really doesn't serve a great purpose. And, I don't think we need to bring it back in any way. Although that idea has been floated, I don't think that's necessary. There's other things we can do. So that's my 2 cents on that one. What else are we going to talk about?
Can I tell you about Shakespeare by the Sea real quick?
Sure.
We had such an exceptional Shakespeare by the Sea this last weekend. And anyone who doesn't know, this is a free admission theater performance. These individuals build the stage the same day in the park. Friday night was at Veterans Park and Saturday night was at Dominguez Park. They build the stage. They do a free performance. You come, bring your picnic, and enjoy a show. It was phenomenal. And Friday at Veterans Park, there was a little bit of glare as the sunset was going down, but you're watching this, we were watching As You Like It. And the sun was setting, and it just so happened that the boats coming in from Santa Barbara to King Harbor race were like coming in at the same time. It was just epic. It was gorgeous. Last year we had 250 people. This year we had 560 people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was great. We were a little late to the game in partnering with Michael's, but next year we'll have it all lined up, and we're gonna partner just to promote both of these awesome nonprofits, Shakespeare by the Sea and Michael's Cafe on Artesia Boulevard, by the way. And they are providing, you can buy your own little picnic, and it comes with a sandwich and chips and fruit and cookie, and they deliver it to the venue for you. So It was great. And Dominguez Park was the season finale. And, they did this little ceremony where they turn off all the lights to give you the experience, how the actors feel after they shut the stage down for the last time. Mm-hmm. So it was fantastic. Just like another great artsy thing that we get to do here in Redondo Beach. It's great.
That's great activation of those spaces too. We need more of that. We used to have music at Veterans Park and they moved it to the pier. I don't know if that was the best move. Where do they set up the stage in Dominguez Park?
So they set it up on the landfill. It's on the east of the baseball field. So it's like the grassy area, and it's kind of right next to the edge of the walking path. We bring in like the nice bathrooms, not like the porta potty gross ones. Like we're doing it right. We've got the nice trailer bathrooms. Public Works brought this huge lantern out to light the way as you're walking back. It was like the sun thing. They pointed the trucks to make the path lit up. Like they just, we have great staff in Redondo. So
it
was great.
It's a natural amphitheater back there. I really think that could be used to just great advantage. There's other events we could put on in that park. I love that park. I'm really glad to see it keeps improving. It's just one of my destinations when I walk around this part of town.
Yep. Yeah. And what was great, so obviously Veterans Park was stunning, but of course it was, more people are going to go there, but I think people who know, like the locals, are going to go to Dominguez Park because it's just more local, and I don't know. Those who know. You haven't been, you don't know.
And Veterans Park has a regional draw because it's next to the ocean. So a lot of people come there for the ocean breezes to cool off. Dominguez Park is a very local, almost like our private park, it seems like, because it's never very busy. When it is, like when Little League's there, it's just great. It's just a little slice of Redondo that I really enjoy. So I'm glad that place keeps improving.
Yes.
Hey, Paige, I do want to ask you about State of the City. Our mayor mentioned something about mall-ish type shops coming to the pier. That blew my mind a little bit because I've never heard the words mall come out of his mouth in a positive fashion. So kudos to the pivot from Jim Light, but I would love to know more about that and what businesses, shops, stores, retailers are you guys looking to bring into that space? Because, child, we've been waiting.
I know. I think there's a few spaces in Redondo where people have just been like, almost, they're like, don't even talk about it. It's never going to happen. So when it comes to the pier, everybody is clear on the harbor amenities plan, which was voted on by council. There was a working group creating it, and that was like the amenities. It's the wish list of what we want for our harbor space. And then, but really we need the commercial plan that's going to support that amenities plan. And that conversation is finally starting. There is a discussion, and again, these are, we are looking for places, or we are looking for companies who want to invest in these spaces. We would love to see, well, I don't want to speak for everyone, but there's a conversation, and I think I wasn't here for the conversation, but I'm told that a food hall is something that was generally welcomed down there. So that's one of the conversations. There's the Fun Factory is an interesting place. I toured it recently with Councilman Awaji about how we can market that space. And one, I don't know who designed this, but like, it's just odd to me that we have like the best view of the whole harbor is the parking lot on the top of that building. But, we can't redo it right now. So we have the space that we have, but just trying to find something for that massive space that was the Fun Factory. And I think generally people want something that's going to be family friendly, to complement some of the food places that are around there. You got the skate park. What that is, I mean, I wish I knew. I wish I knew who could take it over or who was interested. We're just now having these conversations.
Just a little history, because I grew up here. The Fun Factory was originally parking structure. That whole thing, where the parking structure was, serviced all the amenities or whatever was on the pier that used to be on the pier. Pretty much everything you went to for the pier was on the pier. The entire horseshoe was covered with retail and restaurants and silly places, which were a lot of fun when you were growing up. But it burned down in spectacular fashion. Where the International Boardwalk, again, was just storage for boats that weren't even enclosed. And that's why there's no good ventilation down there. It was never designed to handle what it is. I can see where, let's activate this space. Let's bring in up whatever retail or commercial you want, but you're kind of hamstrung with this structure that it is. It's unfortunate, but what do we end up now? We've got like 3 beer places down there, and the same type of shops that have been always attracted to the pier. That's fine. That's what it's going to be. The Fun Factory is a really unique space, and I wouldn't say it's a good one. It was great for what it used to be, but I don't know what you're going to put into there that'll comply with all the HVAC requirements for any kind of retail and things like that. I don't know.
It's low clearance, like it's a difficult space. So, I mean, the other thing is, and he did mention this in the State of the City, is the boat ramp, and unfortunately, that is kind of the key to get anything done in the harbor. So we've fully funded the design of that. It's moving along, and we'll see if we can take the next step so that we can actually activate that entire space.
So the boat ramp, does that replace the cantina?
It would go where the old Samba was, the cantina, Mexican grill. I'm jumbling the name, but yes.
That's right.
Yes.
We're just, but we'll be down another restaurant facility there, and the Joe's Crab Shack is destined to not be any kind of money generator. So yeah, we're backing ourselves into a corner pretty badly, but that's the way the direction is going right now. So we'll see. I don't have a lot of faith in that happening soon, but we'll see. I wish everybody luck there if they want to roll the dice and make something happen.
Yeah.
Hey, Paige, what's going on in your district?
My district. So we covered Dominguez Park. We covered the shooting range. All of this happening in my district. Also Shakespeare by the Sea, amazing. Other than, my district is mostly residential with, 190th. We are still working on the smoke shop ordinance, which I think affects every district, including mine. We have a new smoke shop there. And we're working on a tobacco retail license. Are we going to amend that? And I think it makes sense, because if we're going to do smoke shops, we should also be talking about tobacco sales. So that's coming up. And then let's see, what else am I working on right now? Oh, we have a crossing guard subcommittee. And that I'm hoping that we can create a program that also activates youth to be participating in, community and leadership in our city. I'm working on something. Do either of you, where you grew up, did you ever have anything that was called like a safety patrol?
We had block parents.
Block parents. Okay.
If for that, there wasn't really we had lots of crossing guards. I know that. And that was just something that you almost expected a city to have with all the students. And
Where'd you grow up, Paul?
Here in Redondo
You did.
in Torrance in the South Bay. I went to St. Lawrence Elementary in Redondo Beach from 8th grade. Then I went to South High in Torrance, and then I went to Loyola Marymount.
And you had crossing guards when you were here.
Yes.
They were everywhere.
Yes, I remember them. Even for the private school, I remember there were some crossing guards on PCH and Prospect a long time ago.
Well, we still have crossing guards. In fact, we have 27 of them in the city.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I live very close to the west end of 190th, and I've noticed that the All Caps Foundry development, the housing there that was built, or the condos they're coming near completion. They look nice. I think they're getting inhabited pretty quickly. I gotta say, it's a huge improvement to what was used to be there. They used to pour metal there, and it was just really, it was like the Bronze Age. They were just making just the type of pollution no one wants in a city. So it was definitely the right move to do that. And
that's my neighborhood.
Yes, it is your neighborhood, and that's why I wanted to ask you about it, because in all honesty, I've heard this a lot in my life here, is say, oh, they build that, it's going to ruin our city. That has never been true. I've never heard it ruining our city. Anything they build, it doesn't happen.
I mean, I think
cities aren't buildings, cities are people and communities. So the impact on the city, it seems to be like, oh yeah, there's a new condo. That's about it. You drive by it and it's like, yeah, people live there. It's great. Yeah. They spend money here.
Yeah.
Have you seen impacts or had anybody say anything about that place?
You know what's funny is no, I haven't had any complaints about those condos. There's actually two different developments. There's an Anastasi project of 20 units and then 36 units next to it. So 56 units, small space. No complaints about that, but I have had complaints about some of the single family homes and the residents around there being unkept and out of code compliance.
I can see that.
Yeah.
What can you do?
I can see that.
Yeah.
Well, hey, we want to thank you for taking the time. We didn't even know we were going to keep you this long, but so appreciate you just updating us and checking in and letting the people know you're still doing the good work. I did want to get back with you about the mobile mental health thing that you were working on. You got a quick update about that?
I do. Yeah, I actually have a meeting tomorrow about that. Hermosa Beach got a grant from Ted Lieu to do a program, and it was only 1 year. It expires in October. And, there's a conversation to be had about continuing that and expanding it kind of as a Hermosa Redondo program. And we're looking to do that. I think we are so well suited to take on this challenge because we are kind of a full service city. We have a fire department, we have our own police department, we have our own dispatch, which is essential in this situation.
Beach City's Health District.
Yeah, and Beach City's Health District, also part of the conversation. And I will say that it ties into our homeless program, and it kind of circles back to the first thing we talked about, which is like the state and the county and how it's just a behemoth to work with them and solve problems. But I think our enhanced response to homelessness shows like we can do this, and we just have to do it on our own, and we're going to. So it is something we're continuing to work on, and I think we're getting really close. And I hope the next time I'm on your show, I'm just announcing that it's already kicked off.
Hey, we love it. We love it. Well, thank you again for being here. We appreciate you, and we can't wait till the next time you come back. Anything else, Paul?
That's it for me.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Paige,
thank you very much.
Keep doing the good work, girl. We love you.
I'm going to try.
Hey, thanks for showing up to the podcast where we all know that the best leaders are lifetime learners. When you get a sec, take a moment, leave a comment. What do you think about today's episode? And share it with someone that you know could use the gems that were dropped today. Follow and subscribe. You don't want to miss who's coming up next. You never know who could show up here and what they could say. For your professional needs, marketing, PR, communications, and leadership, make sure you follow us on all social media platforms at Sand and Shores, or hit us up at sandandshores.com. Again, thanks so much for showing up. We appreciate you, and we'll see you soon.